Power Ace Radio.
Okay, so hello, how are you doing this fine evening?
All is well. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, great, great, great. We're so glad to have you on the show. So welcome to Power Ace Radio. Um, so let's start by getting you to introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from and what you do, please.
Okay. So first off, I am Elease Wiggins. I'm a mental health coach, mom of two, entrepreneur, speaker, author, professor, counselor, and then I can go on and on. But the most important thing, the way I will identify myself, is being the daughter of the Most High. I'm from Brooklyn originally, but now my family has moved to New Jersey.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, this is exciting stuff. And you know what? I think we should go straight for it.
Okay.
And talk about sort of the elephant in the room. While we're here. So, you run an online class for moms.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
So what happened was last year, this time, I was on a break I'm in a doctoral program. I'm studying counseling psychology. And I was burned out and I did not know it. I couldn't get out the bed. I didn't want to interact with my children. It was just like, I felt hopeless and nothing like was really going wrong where I was being attacked or it was like a physical harm, a threat. This was more of an internal thing. And I had people who I would say, I just don't feel like it, or there's some, and they would say like, no, get it together. You have your children. Remember on this date, you have to do this. And no one really cared. It wasn't like, like I said, like I was in, danger, but I just felt so bad. And it was ironic that I was a doctorate student and didn't see that I myself was experiencing burnout. So I just created this program because I started to come across other moms who were experiencing the same thing, but they couldn't talk about it. And if they did, they didn't feel validated. It actually felt worse when they were trying to explain to people what was going on with them. So I created Reawaken Your Light as a way to help moms manage and get over burnout and then be able to achieve personal and professional goals. So for example, I partnered with an online training institution that can help the moms get industry certification. So for example, if they wanted to study Microsoft Office, phlebotomy, things of that nature, I would actually reimburse them if they went through the program and they got certified. So yeah, that's a little bit about what I do.
Oh, wow, that is really, really amazing. Of course, it's not just about, oh, okay, I've listened to your problems and I've given you directions. It's actually going further and going, oh, okay, these are the different things. And I think where it's really helpful is that you can't fix anything else until you fix yourself and your mental health. And for moms, I can only imagine what it would be like. I have a friend myself who went through a similar thing, and maybe it's because nobody around them actually knows how to help. So suppose my next question would be, what advice would you give to people around? So like you've been through it, the people around you, they've heard the story and they probably know about it as well. What advice would you how can you support somebody in that situation?
So number one, the first thing would just be to listen. Don't cut the person off. Don't say, well, what did you mean? Or who, like, just fully listen to what the person is saying, because I realized this. Sometimes I'm forming an opinion in my mind before the person stops speaking. And, you know, like I would have lost what it was that they were trying to tell me because I didn't fully pay attention. So number one, listen. And number two, if there are things that the mother is doing that could be improved, don't berate her. Don't like that. This might not be the best time to give someone harsh criticism. And if you're gonna make a suggestion, help with the suggestion. So for example, if you're gonna say, well, maybe you shouldn't use this product or brand on your child because, you know, X, Y, or Z or whatever, then get the brand that you think that should be used. So number two, don't berate the mom or like harshly criticize her. But if there is some advice that you have to give, follow up with the advice, right? Like help do something to alleviate some of the stress. And one of the things I would really say that helps so much, moms need a break. Sometimes a lot of things that happens with mothers and even like just tense situations overall, if you could have just stepped back and just took a moment to collect yourself. And I feel like as a mom, we get far and few between those times to just step back and say, wait a minute, take yourself out of the situation, breathe, calm, think. Because when so much is going on, you can't breathe, you can't calm, you can't think, right? So those are the three things. Listen, try not to berate her. And if you make a suggestion, do some follow-up. And number three, if you can, give her some time to just be with herself, take care of the children. And I think that that would be good.
That's really helpful. Thank you very much for that. You know,
Yeah.
I take that on board myself. And those are really valid points. And even based on, again, your business, you're doing the same thing where the first, okay, you listen, and the next you offer your advice, but you follow through by giving them the opportunity of the courses and, you know,
Yes.
incentive to go and do something after they've gone through the course. So that's really, really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I suppose you did tell us about what got you into doing the course, but why the online course? Because something like this usually will think, okay, yeah, I got to read a book about it. So do you write books, or do you just prefer that it's a face-to-face, you know, personal one-to-one thing? Or
So,
is it
okay, so
one thing?
yeah, so I'll answer all of the questions. So number one, I started off by being an author. So my book, my first book is titled A Farewell to Welfare. And in the book, I'm talking about how I went from living like I was sleeping on $500,000 every single night to leaving. It wasn't a physically abusive relationship, but it was verbal and financial, emotional too. And I walked away from that relationship with 2 children, and I went to be on welfare. So, you know, when you read the book, when you read the title, it's like Farewell to Welfare. I'm actually teaching people how to get on welfare and use it effectively. So while I was on public assistance, I got like 3 degrees. I have a master's degree, right? And I made the system work for me. So the whole purpose, I think, in America, welfare is called temporary assistance for needy families. The first letter is T, and it stands for temporary, meaning this is not how the situation is. You get on it with a plan. So I wrote that book in 2015, and then it was like, we want more. I wrote it in the form of teaching because I'm a teacher. So I wrote it to be taught in a classroom. And originally, when I used to teach it in my classes, I used to teach sociology and psychology. It was almost as if it was too emotional. Like I would do a popcorn reading and have each student read like a paragraph or a page and pass it, and students would literally like start crying and say like, oh, I can understand. I experienced this on my mom. So I was like, okay, what's the next phase of this? So I originally turned that book into an online program in 2016. And since then, I think I released 2 more, one on Udemy and one on Teachable. But Reawaken Your Light, the reason why it became a program is because I'm a mom. I don't have the time to really even leave the house and work the way I used to. I have a 17-year-old daughter and I have a 12-year-old son. And I think that there's this myth that your children need you when they're babies more. I don't agree with that. I think like they need you all the time and they need you in different ways. So even though their priority now is their friends, mom is still the anchor. Hey, this has to happen, or, you know, mommy this or mommy that. And for me personally, I like to be available to those things because I've seen too many times where children grow up with unresolved trauma. And it could be just from the smallest things that they weren't allowed to speak about. And now they're adults and they're behaving on something that happened when they were 6 and they never talked about it, right? So because of my limited time, I created the online program. And the difference is I built this program from scratch. So there's no Teachable, there's no Udemy, and I paid for it all on my own too, right? When I lost my job, I was using my unemployment checks, not even lying, child support checks, whatever it was to get me to build this program, I did. And I did it this way because something that I realized is that even though I'm an African American female, I realized that I'm not the only one with struggles. Women in India have similar problems, but we don't speak the same language. Women in Ghana have the same problem. So the reason why it's also an online program is because I wanted to be able to reach women all around the world who were suffering, who were hurting, who were being ignored. And I wanted to show them like, look, I've been homeless twice. Like seriously, today, I'm in my apartment now 3 days. We just moved from being homeless because our home flooded. So just because things happen, now mind you, I'm a coach, speaker, author, like all of the titles I said, but that didn't mean that I was absolved from being homeless. That doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen to me because I'm educated and I have a title. No. So my goal in having this online program is to bring mothers together around the world to feel heard, supported, and then to heal. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You covered a great deal. And you know, I think maybe before I digress, so I come in, well, maybe not me, but you know, your clients come in. How do we get in contact with you to go, hey, I think we definitely need your help. So where do we go? Social platforms? Is there a website? How do we get to you?
Yeah, so the social platforms are all Reawaken Your Light. Reawaken Your Light is REAWKEN, Your Light, LIGHT. And that's on YouTube. That's on Instagram. I'm currently recreating a Facebook page because my page was blocked. And I see that like every time I'm making progress, something happens. And it's like, okay, we're just going to overcome it. So Facebook is on the way. But it's also the Reawaken Your Light site. And what I'm doing starting this Saturday is I'm meeting with moms again every week at 10 a.m. Standard Eastern Time, right? And what we do is I get on the call, the Zoom call, and I'm like, what's going on? It's not me talking, teaching, preaching. Again, it's me listening. And I think that, again, with my doctoral experience, what I learned is the most important aspect of counseling is listening, right? So every morning at 10 a.m., I'll send you the link so that you can send it to anyone who's asking. I open up and I just listen to what the moms have to say. And then that's how I create my content. Then that's how I create my programming based on moms' needs. Because like I said to you, I previously had programs on Udemy and Teachable that I created. It was what I thought my audience needed. Now it's me listening and then creating content. So the website, all social media is Reawaken Your Life.
Perfect. So reawaken to your light.
Yes.
And that's the website itself is actually reawakentoyourlight.com.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And I think again, based on the answer about the listening, there's something they say that you have like 2 ears and one mouth, for a reason. You listen twice at least before you should say something, especially when you're trying to give advice. A lot of the time, people, maybe as you said earlier, that you come across as a teacher, so you have a lot to say, but actually, most of the time, people need somebody to talk to. So they just need to voice out, and then that way you can find out how to actually help them. So I really I like the strategy that you're following. Again, I'm employed in my life too. So let's kind of digress a little bit.
Okay.
We're talking about burnout, and it's not just for moms. Let's say on the station we have a lot of musical artists that constantly flying here, left and there. And how do you what do you advise? Like, how do you deal with burnout? How do you deal with not getting to that stage? And if you are already at that stage, how do you come back to the norm, as they say?
So I think that one of the first things is you have to identify that this is what you're going through. So using myself as the example again, imagine I'm studying to be a psychologist, and I did not know that I myself was experiencing burnout, but I knew that there was something wrong. I knew that there was something off. So everyone's symptoms are different. For me, it was I couldn't get out the bed, and I will only get out the bed to use the bathroom. I really wasn't even eating. And if I was, it was overeating, right? So I think the first thing is you have to identify, right? And after you identify something is wrong, you have to accept it. So accepting it doesn't mean something's wrong with me, I'm terrible, I'm the worst person on earth. Accepting means I realize that I'm not getting out the bed. I realize that I'm irritable. I don't want to interact with my children, and I don't like it. How do I fix this? So I never, I always discourage blaming and self-loathing, because that's so easy. And when you do that, it's like it spirals down. It'll start with one thought, and the next thing you know, you'll be thinking about something you did 20 years ago, and it's 10 minutes later, right? So it's identifying, it's accepting, and then it's reaching out to someone you trust. If you don't have a friend or family member who won't berate you, who will actually listen to you and validate you and won't try to like hurry up and fix you, because also too, it's not that a lot of people enjoy being in pain, but I think that you have to sit in it long enough so that you don't want to be there anymore. If you kind of rush it, you kind of sometimes go right back into it. But if you stay there long enough, it's a point where it's like, I know I'm not coming back to this place again because I've been there so long. So if you have someone in your family or your friend group that you trust and you can actually speak to them and they'll listen, great. If not, I would strongly suggest you call a hotline. Now, here's the thing. If you call in and you say you want to hurt yourself or you want to hurt somebody, technically they can come and get you and probably have you evaluated for 72 hours. So I always stress, be careful about exactly what it is that you're feeling. And if it is that you're feeling like that, maybe, and this is what I did, maybe you want to also start journaling. So this is what I created for moms, and this is what I use myself. I begin to every day just write down what I was feeling. I can't stand my children. I don't have any money. I don't have the energy for this. I was really every day just writing. And when I go back now and I read what I wrote, I realized it was the result of the people that I was surrounding myself with. So it wasn't just that I was feeling bad. I was reaching out to the wrong people who were making me feel worse. Well, you're too smart. So because I'm smart, I'm not supposed to be depressed. Because I'm ambitious, I'm not supposed to have days where I don't feel like being ambitious, right? Like, give me grace. I'm a human being. So whatever your outlet is, for me, it's writing. So maybe it's not journaling for you. Maybe it's singing. Maybe it's cooking, cleaning. I definitely wouldn't say if it was taking care of somebody else, because that's probably what you're already doing. But anytime that you feel depressed, there needs to be an outlet. Like even if you put food in a pressure cooker, the smoke still comes out. Something comes out of it. You need an outlet. So I know a lot of times people don't really have hobbies. People don't have things that they do just because they enjoy, like going on a walk or playing a sport. It doesn't have to be competitively, but something that brings you some type of joy. I would say that too. Get back into doing the things that make you feel good without you feeling guilty about it or hurting other people.
Wow, that is well, that's a perfect answer. You know, I suppose this is so, this is where it shows as to your wealth of knowledge. And I can't wait for to kind of hear more about your projects, because I know obviously there's you're bringing it all out of the woodworks. So talking about your projects, what is in the pipeline for the
Oh
future?
my gosh. Wait, so I just want to say this. So as you were asking me the last question about, I know you work with moms, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to tell him about my project. But you asked me that question. So look, we're aligned. I love it. So originally, I did not have a target audience. I just was helping everyone. Hence like I said, the Teachable and the Udemy course were for people who were experiencing anxiety, but they had goals and dreams that they want to accomplish, but they needed help. So I was working with assistants from the Summer Youth Employment Program in New York City this past summer. Beautiful program where young people get the chance to get experience, and we get, employers get valuable employees. Now, I was a member of this when I was 16, so it came full circle for me to hire summer interns, right? And one of the summer interns just graduated with her bachelor's degree in psychology and marketing. She was like, look, you need a niche. And I'm like, what do you mean? I can't save the world? She said, yes. But for marketing purposes, you just need to work with a small population. So I chose mothers, right? But here's what I'm noticing. I'm working on a project called The Unspoken Trauma of Black Men. And it's the result of my conversations and observations in my relationships with Black men, and how you guys are not allowed to be vulnerable. You're not allowed to say, this hurt me. You're not allowed to say, I'm sad. If you were to express your feelings in any type of way, it would be emasculating. And I'm working on this project where I'm speaking to Black men, and I want to start like this new trend where it's okay to be vulnerable as a Black man. And I'm talking about specifically one trauma is not ever knowing who your father is. Not just that you didn't meet him, but you know nothing about him. Your mom might not even know nothing about him or doesn't want to disclose that. So how is that growing up as an African-American male and you have this big hole? Like, why do I do this? Oh, you didn't know that your father did that, right? Because you don't know this person. So I'm working on this project where I'm almost calling for like vulnerability amongst Black men, like to say it's okay to let your guard down. And also too, for the women, we have to be sensitive and respectful enough to respect your vulnerability, right? Because we know that you're not just going to open up to anyone. And if someone trusts you with their vulnerability, that's something you don't want to take advantage of. So if you're not healed enough to work with someone and respect their vulnerability, that's not something that you should take on. And I'm specifically speaking to Black women. Like, some of us are toxic. I'm toxic. I have been toxic. I won't sit on here and pretend like I've always been perfect and knowledgeable. No, it took some hurt, some pain, therapy, and of course the one, the Most High to get me to where I am today. So for women, if you want men to be more vulnerable and more soft with you and open up to you, you have to show him that he can trust you with his vulnerability. So that's one of the projects I'm working on.
Oh wow, that is really exciting.
Yeah.
Because as we're talking about obviously moms and burnout and all this, I'm thinking, well, it's not just moms that feel like that, but hey, we're on the mom subject. Let's not
Right.
get with the shine. And as you said, really, especially for Black men, you're expected to be strong. You're the head of the family, and that's how it goes. Your kids, your wife, your family, everybody expects you to just get on with it. Everybody look at you for answers. So you can't show that, oh, I don't actually know the answer to this, or I don't, oh, maybe I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just winging it. You can't show any of this. You just need to always be strong, which could be definitely mentally draining. So wow, I'm
Yes.
really looking forward to that. I'm sure there will be, a queue outside your door,
So there's
outside the
one
online
more
door.
thing I want to say that you said that, and I thank you for that, because this is my new thing again. And I got to keep referencing this because I'm actually on a break from the doctorate program. I took a break first just to get me together, and then like I had a whole housing, like I just said, situation. So I want to go back. I want to say either the fall of this year or maybe next year. But one of the things I learned is it's okay to say I don't know. And I love saying that now. If someone asks me something, I'll say, oh, I don't know, but I'll see and I'll get back to you. Because I don't know everything. Only the Most High knows everything. That's what keeps me human. So I think a lot of times we have to know, again, Black women and Black men, we don't always have everything figured out. I'm not a superwoman. I'm not a superhero. That's fictional. You see that on television. But I'm a real person and I make mistakes and I don't always get it right and I don't understand. So after today, whoever is listening to this, if you don't take anything else away, I want you to take away, it's okay not to know. And it's okay to still be learning.
That's great. And I think you kind of maybe I answered my next question, but I will ask it anyway.
Okay,
Which
ask
is
it.
that what would you like to, what advice would you give to the viewers? Out there, any kind of closing remarks as we're drawing close to the
Okay.
end?
So for me, I definitely believe in a higher power. I know that it's not all about me. I know that there are things I don't understand and I probably will never understand. But it's the fact that I trust what my grandmothers, what, my parents instilled in me, that there is a God. And a lot of times, if you just put your trust, your hope, your faith, no matter what it looks like, I think a lot of times we get afraid by what we see and hear. And maybe it's time to cut off the social media and the television. Maybe it's time to stop picking up the phone, answering text messages. If as much as you can stand silence, I think that it's time for you to connect with the Most High and hear what the Most High wants to say to you, whether you want to say he, she, they, them, right? God has pronouns too, right? I think that we need to understand that we are not created by accident. We're here for a reason. And if you have been blessed with another day, that means don't waste it on being sad and depressed if you can. But if you've been blessed with another day, use it as an opportunity to make your life and someone else's life better.
Wow, that is a great. That's really amazing. I have nothing to add. And just we're closing off, but let me ask you one of my kind of random questions.
Okay.
Kind of them like that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you were given an elephant and you can't give it away. What would you do with it?
If I was given an elephant and I couldn't give it away,
what would you do?
I would take care of it. I would take care of the elephant. Yeah, I don't know what I would do with it. I would nurture it. Like right now, I have a cat and a dog. First of all, I'm not a dog person, but my children likes dogs. Okay, so now I'm a dog person. I've always been a cat person, and here I am again with the 3-month-old cat. And I think that everything that has breath needs to be loved on. So maybe the animal just needs to be loved. And who knows what that elephant can become just because it's nurtured, cared for, and loved.
Perfect. That's great. I think from every time I ask these questions, I obviously always start with the elephants, but then people kind of try and relate it to, now we know you have a dog and a cat. So that's great.
And maybe an elephant too.
Well, soon. So, wow, Liz, this has been so great having you on the show. And yeah, until we meet again, thank you so much for, blessing us out with the whole busy day of being a mom, being a tutor, and you still came to grace us with your presence. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So yeah, until we meet again, take care. Bye.
From Cape to Cairo, Madagascar to Morocco, you're traveling on the airwaves of Power 8 Radio.